Welcome to this explainer. So, you want to tackle the massive, sometimes incredibly dense AIGP, the Artificial Intelligence Governance Professional Body of Knowledge? Well, we're going to do exactly that. Think of this as your step-by-step masterclass on how to balance rapid, mind-blowing AI innovation with absolutely critical risk management. If that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place. Let's get to it.
Okay, here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the foundational concepts, tackle those scary AI risks, break down responsible principles, actually build a strategy, and then wrap up with the legal maze. Let's just jump right in.
All right, first things first, the foundations. What exactly are we dealing with here?
People throw around the term AI like it's just one giant brain in a box. But really, it's this massive branch of computer science focused on getting computers to basically act smart. We're talking mimicking human reasoning, learning, the whole shebang. And surprisingly, this isn't some brand new sci-fi concept. The benchmark literally goes all the way back to Alan Turing in 1950. But to genuinely govern AI today, we need to look at how the sausage is actually made right now.
It's kind of like a giant puzzle. It all starts with the raw material, data, text, images, sensor data, you name it. We feed all that into an algorithm, which is basically just a set of rules. That algorithm grinds through the data and spits out a model, the engine that actually makes the predictions. But, and this is crucial, that model doesn't just float around in the void. It lives inside a complete operational system with user interfaces and guardrails. So, when we talk about governing AI, we're not just babysitting a model. We have to govern the entire pipeline, all the way back to the raw data.
And under that big AI umbrella, things get pretty specific. You've got machine learning, where models actually learn from data instead of us hard-coding every single rule. Then, a layer deeper, deep learning kicks in with these incredibly complex neural networks. Inside that, the rock stars of the moment. Generative AI, making text and images, and agentic AI, which actually takes autonomous action to get things done. As a governance pro, you absolutely must know the difference here because the risks and your whole playbook change entirely depending on which of these circles you're standing in.
Now that we've got the what, let's talk about the yikes. Time to navigate the risks and the darker side of all this innovation.
So why is governing AI so unbelievably hard compared to, say, traditional software? Well, it's evolving at a totally breakneck speed. Organizations are basically caught in a tug of war. On one side, you've got this desperate need to innovate and stay competitive. On the other, the absolutely vital, sometimes unglamorous work of actually tracking risks and putting up proper guardrails.
It's kind of ironic, right? The exact same traits that make AI so ridiculously powerful are what make it a nightmare to control. Take opacity. These advanced models are basically black boxes. Half the time, even the developers who built them can't perfectly explain why it made a specific choice. Throw in complete autonomy, blistering speed, massive data thirst, and the fact that AI deals in probabilities, not absolute rigid certainties, and boom, your traditional software governance models just completely fall apart.
Okay, so how do we fix it? That brings us to the principles of responsible AI, the real framework for trust.
Look, whether you're strictly following OECD guidelines or just your own internal company playbook, your governance program has to be anchored to some non-negotiable pillars. We're talking fairness, like making sure your automated hiring tool doesn't accidentally weed out great candidates because of deeply ingrained biases. We need safety, privacy for those massive data lakes, transparency to shine a light inside those black boxes, and above all, human centricity. AI has to serve us, not the other way around. These aren't just nice-to-haves. They are the literal DNA of a trustworthy system.
So how do we make those high-minded principles a reality? Let's establish your actual AI strategy.
This takes serious teamwork. You can't just build it in a silo. Step 1, define the business context and the use case before you even touch a keyboard. Why are we building this, and who is it going to impact? Step 2 is baking those ethical policies right into the architecture. Step 3 is a big one, doing a thorough impact assessment to try and spot the unintended consequences before they blow up. Finally, Step 4, managing the internal and external risks. Notice the theme here? It's all incredibly deliberate. True governance means getting ahead of the problem during the design phase, not just doing damage control after the product is already out the door.
All right, on to everyone's favorite topic, the law. Let's look at the legal landscape and governing regulations.
The magic word in AI law right now is risk-based. You absolutely have to understand the difference between high-risk AI and general-purpose AI. High-risk systems, like AI making medical diagnoses or deciding who gets a mortgage, face brutal compliance hurdles. We're talking deep documentation and mandatory human oversight. Then you have general-purpose AI, like your favorite large language models. These are super adaptable, but here's the catch. A general model's risk level completely depends on how you use it. If you plug a general chat model into a high-risk medical app, yep, those strict regulations instantly trigger. Context is literally everything here.
And don't think you're off the hook just because you've checked the AI law boxes. You're still operating in the real world. You've got data privacy laws demanding strict control over things like biometric data. You've got intellectual property laws breathing down your neck to make sure your training data didn't just rip off 1,000 copyrighted artists. Throw in consumer protection agencies like the FTC hunting down deceptive practices and strict product liability laws? Yeah, a good AI governance pro has to look at their system through a dozen different legal lenses all at the same time.
Wow, okay. That was a lot of heavy, technical, and legal stuff for one masterclass. Let's just take a breath. There's this fantastic quote from the AGIP materials that perfectly grounds all of this. AI's impact on society is shaped by human interaction. Meaningful engagement between humans and AI systems can harness AI's full potential. Honestly, that hits the nail on the head. Despite every technical guardrail and compliance checklist we've talked about, the success of AI governance boils down to human oversight. We pick the data, we design the rules, we set the boundaries. It's on us to keep this incredible tech aligned with human values.
Which leaves us with a pretty intense challenge. Because as AI gets faster, smarter, and way more autonomous, moving from basic machine learning to these wild, agentic AI systems that basically act on their own, are our governance frameworks actually evolving fast enough to keep humans meaningfully in the loop? Honestly, I want you to really chew on that as you step out of this explainer and into the real world. Thanks so much for joining me today. Keep questioning things, keep learning, and above all, keep governing responsibly.